So my soldiers looked up at me, waiting for the shit to roll downhill. And for some reason, I decided just to hold the shit. If you like, the shit didn't roll downhill. Where there's accountability, it can be held. It doesn't have to flow down onto someone else. And I didn't have to give them a bollocking.
Plane, we all know that shit runs downhill. And I think I'll pretty much just leave it there.
Yeah, it does. And no one really wants to be left holding the accountability, especially if we don't feel that we were responsible. But sometimes as a leader, we need to, and it can be the right thing to do. And look, I remember it was a career-defining moment for me. I would have been a young 24-year-old captain in the British Army training soldiers in their initial training. They were going through their final exercise, dawn attack, after being out on patrol overnight, and everyone was watching. We had the training regiment colonel and the regimental sergeant major. They were the senior guys. We had the company commander, my boss, or my direct boss, and the company sergeant major, and a few sort of training staff as well. And they're all sitting there in the early hours of the summer. So a nice, glorious summer morning or dawn, about 4:30 in the morning, having a mug of coffee and watching the platoon of prospective infantrymen going through their final attack. And it was an absolute disaster. The guys were useless. They'd been training for this for weeks and weeks, learning all the skills, and everyone just forgot. Everyone forgot everything. They were facing the wrong way. They dropped the magazines. They didn't see where the enemy was. It was just an utter disaster. And the exercise finished, or that phase of it finished. Everyone sort of gathered around. The colonel stood up in front of everyone and gave everyone the phrase we'd use in the British Army is gave them a bollocking and said, "You were useless." And then turned to the training team and said, "I don't know how you think you've prepared this platoon for their training for the last 14 weeks, but they were a shambles. You should be embarrassed. Unprofessional, useless." And then he left. Regimental Sergeant Major turned to the non-commissioned officers who were in the training team and said exactly the same thing. "This was atrocious. You should be ashamed of yourself." And then he turned and left. The major then turned around. He'd just been given a bollocking by the colonel. So the major turned to me and gave me a bollocking, and then turned to all the soldiers and said, "That was useless. You let everybody down. It was pathetic. What about your skills and drills? You forgot everything you've been taught. You should be ashamed of yourselves. You can't. You want to join the infantry and you do a platoon attack like that? It was terrible." And the company sergeant major then turned to my platoon sergeant, the rest of the training team, and the soldiers and said the same thing. "Terrible. You should be ashamed of yourself." And each time you could see the shoulders of the guys who weren't really accustomed to getting a 4-day exercise and then patrolling through the night and then get it. These are 17, 18-year-old, 19-year-old guys. Their shoulders, their morale was just getting lower and lower. And they knew they were terrible. They'd forgotten everything. They'd just had fried brains during the exercise. And they then left. The major and the company sergeant major then left, leaving me as the remaining boss with my platoon sergeant and the soldiers. And I'd just been given a bollocking by the colonel and by my company commander. They write my career reports. They write their reports on me and my career progression recommendations. And I'd just been soundly chewed out by them in front of everybody, including my own soldiers. So my soldiers looked up at me, waiting for the shit to roll downhill. And for some reason, I decided just to hold the shit. If you like, the shit didn't roll downhill. I turned to the soldiers and had that moment of clarity that sometimes we're very lucky to get. And I said, "Look, you were under a lot of pressure. It was the first time you've done it. I've seen you preparing for it. I know what you can do. I believe in you because I've seen you doing it in rehearsals. It was just pressure, tiredness, a little bit of lack of experience that got you this morning. We've got some some big containers and flasks of tea and coffee over there. You were going to get it when you finish the exercise. Get it now. Have something to eat. Open your ration packs and get some calories in you. Sit down gather yourselves, and we'll do it one more time with no one watching. And of course, they were brilliant. They got everything right. They left that exercise feeling confident in themselves and reassured that where there's accountability, it can be held. It doesn't have to flow down onto someone else. And I didn't have to give them a bollocking. And look, what was it to me? I already knew I was going to be leaving the army, so a career progression for me wasn't that much of a necessity. Not that it would have made much of a difference. In fact, if the story went back that I treated my soldiers this way, that would have been much better, actually, for my career. But that's by the by. The truth was that those soldiers, that would have been in the summer of 1998, those soldiers would have been junior leaders on operations in Afghanistan 5 years later. And some of those guys might have remembered just the way that we worked, that I trusted and believed in them. I thought nothing else about it until 10 years later, when one of the guys had been commissioned into the army, was gone through Sandhurst, he'd become an officer himself, and then he retired and left. And he wrote an autobiography about his time in the army. And one of the stories that he referred to was that moment on that final exercise, Dawn Attack, where I just protected the guys and stopped myself from the natural knee-jerk reaction of criticism coming in this ear, criticism being directed out to someone else. But because I broke that flow, it gave an inspiration to people that needed it at that time. And of course, they were so much better. They went off to phase 2 training, infantry-specific training, and they got all of the training they really, really needed there. This was just an initial training. The value of it was more about the experience of being believed in when the chips were down.
It says a lot about how important middle management is, right? Like understanding like what you need to filter down and what you need to filter up, what you need to let go down and what you need to filter up. Right? Like I think every profession has its examples about middle management, but middle management done right is often you taking a responsibility even though it's not your responsibility to take.
How do you examine shit as it's rolling towards you?
You know, certainly looking back at the military and indeed in business subsequently, I run towards it.
And towards it so you can get the best look possible and then decide whether you need to pass it. Because obviously sometimes it needs to carry on going sometimes, surely.
I'd say I embrace it. That's the thing, because the biggest lessons I've had have been in the most challenging experiences.
Okay.
And if something's easy, I don't always feel as if I'm learning from it, because then you're coasting. Again, is that saying, train hard, fight easy, and make things as challenging and demanding as you can when you have the capacity and when you've got the ability and the space and the time and the funding and the headcount, so that when things get really, really tough, you've actually already put yourself under more pressure than circumstance can give you. So you know what you can deal with. If things are easy and you aren't necessarily lean, hungry, aggressive, it's very, very difficult when you're tired, your funding is running out, you've got HR issues, the macro market isn't as healthy as it was, to somehow find margin, to somehow find capacity, to somehow find belief when things are tough. I would always look for the challenge. And actually, that's probably why a few of my roles I've moved away from at various different times in life, because it could be comfortable. And I don't necessarily want it to be comfortable, because if things are comfortable, that's when you don't build muscle, you don't push your envelope, you don't you don't explore your limitations. And so, when I see shit running towards me, I'm happy, usually in a sick, peculiar way. because I know that I'm going to have to face a challenge now that maybe I've not faced before, and find a way to resolve it. Or I find, I've dealt with this before. I know what to do. But the reason I've dealt with it before and know what to do is because the previous time this challenge came through, I embraced it.
Yeah.
And if you run toward it, do you feel also, less surprised because you already see it coming, and instead of like kind of washing it over you, you're just like, all right, I'm taking this head on right now, and kind of almost de-risk it by embracing it?
Yes. The only difficulty is if you're in an organization, a leadership team that doesn't necessarily see that as being part of your role. So if I've got a schedule A of duties, responsibilities, deliverables, and I suddenly go off to the margins of my remit and invest a lot of time, effort, and energy doing something that isn't core, just because I like dealing with challenges, that's not helpful to a business. That's not helpful to a leadership team. If it's, I don't know, dealing with an HR issue, well, yeah, sure, but we should have HR capacity to be able to manage that without one of the leadership team diluting their attention on an HR issue or a marketing issue or a tech issue. We should have capacity within the verticals to do that. And so it can be a major fault of some founders to not let go of things that they did in the early stages of a startup process. But then when you get vertical leaders in each particular function of your business, you should invest them with trust rather than going, okay, this is really mission critical now. I'm the one that needs to do this. No, someone else needs to have the same lessons.